Hi, this is Joseph Williams, son of John Williams, and you are watching the Nerfherder Council.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerfherder Council. I am your host, JT. With me are AJ and Steve, and happy NFL schedule release night. We got ours about 35 minutes ago. So
we got
not
ours
too
at like
shabby.
we got ours at like 8 o'clock in the morning. If you just
No,
watched all the leaks online,
we got only two things were true of all that. So,
which ones? Honestly, I didn't even see it. I obviously
the week one and Christmas.
Okay,
when we're going to Lambeau, so
All right.
that was cool.
Yeah, I
just-
saw like up through like week 8 on leaks, but I didn't check to see if they were all true or not.
Yeah, I was just happy that I knew the first week was September 12th. I'm like, please don't be a home game because I'm playing a gig till 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 hours from home the night before. so we got an away game, and it's at 4:25. I was like, sweet.
Nice.
I don't care if it is the Chiefs. So, as usual, we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. And if you'd like to get some customized Nerfherder Council swag, just go to shop.nerfherdercouncil.com and customize stuff to your heart's content. Craig, what is up, man? Good to see you, buddy. So real quick before we get into tonight's topic, there was a little bit of Star Wars news today. They changed the dates of Celebration, and they actually bumped it up. I thought it was a typo at first because it was supposed to be, mid-August of 2022, and then they bumped it to Memorial Day weekend of 2022, and I was like, they have to mean later, but no, they're doing it Memorial Day weekend. So, which is good for me because it saves me 1 day of PTO that I don't have to use, and we're not nearly as busy that time of year at my job as we are in August. So it was a beautiful day.
It works out.
Everything worked out good today. So,
And honestly, it's not like if it was something like the Disney parks or whatever, that's kind of a crap show on a holiday weekend. But tickets are what tickets are, so you don't even have to worry about it being overcrowded or anything.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Seems like a good plan all around.
I would ask if you're going, Steve, but we all know the answer to that.
No.
So Steve will not be going to Star Wars Celebration. AJ, are you going to Star Wars Celebration Anaheim in 2022 with me?
Yeah, they finally put it off long enough that I am definitely going to be there.
Okay.
Remember when it was 2020? We're like, hell no, not
Yeah.
2 years in a row. That's way too much money.
Yeah.
But
That was
yeah,
a little bit of an
I've
expenditure.
had 2 more years
put
to
out
save.
there.
I'm good.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna try. I have to figure out tickets. I've already got my hotel plan. I texted you today. I would normally give it out on air, but I don't want to because I don't.
You don't want to give anybody any ideas?
No, I don't.
You got to get yours first.
I do. What's up, Joseph Wren? How's it going, man?
Well, you said it's booked, so does it really matter if everybody knows?
No, it's not booked.
Oh, I thought you said you
I
had
just-
it. Okay.
I think I know when and how it's going to be happening.
Okay.
So,
I remember
yeah.
what you said in the text now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, once it's booked, then go. Yeah.
Yeah. Once I get it booked, then I'll be happy to give out my secrets.
Yeah.
But I gotta cover my own ass first so
Yep.
I can make sure I'm staying, where I want to be staying. So, we'll see what happens.
So honestly, the majority of people watching/listening to this already know your plans usually anyways. So. They might not know when to book, but they know where you're going to be going. So
Yeah, definitely, man.
The liquor store, right?
Yeah. Well, hey, we got it. What was
that's
that?
the
What was
first
that
stop
handle
once
of?
you get there.
Well, no, it was a convenience store. Basically, it was like a handle of Absolute for, God, what,
It was
15
on
bucks.
sale for like 35. I thought it was like 35 down from like 50 or something.
It
but
was something cheap. It was something. We were like, wow, what the hell is that? So
Dude, the last time I was the only time I was in Anaheim was 2014, and I still know where you can buy the liquor right around there. So
yeah, we're such
I remember
responsible
driving by.
travelers.
I remember going by it when we we were going to our hotel, and I'm like, oh, hey, there's something.
Yeah, we might need that. So give us directions here.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, our buddy Craig says it's going to be good, but I'm still missing my tickets. Yeah, Getting tickets is going to be interesting because they had some people that did opt out and not hold over, their reservation to the following celebration, to the rescheduled dates. But I can't imagine it's a lot. So I don't know how many tickets they're going to have. So if they ever do announce a public on sale, man, we're going to have to get on there like ASAP.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. See, that's the trick when you asked me if I was going is, well, we can get a hotel room, but I don't know if I'm getting in. So this might be a short-lived plan.
Yeah.
Well,
and then, anybody that might have had tickets for August that can't go May, so you might have 40 or 60 extra tickets you can get your hands on.
I have a guy. So I may have a hookup.
There's always a guy.
So I have to send a message, but I may have a hookup there. So I'm going to, hey, it's Rural Farm Boy. What's up, man? How's it going? All right. So let's get into tonight's topic, which, of course, is the 2021 Cleveland Browns schedule. Okay, week 2, we are playing the Texans. No. Yeah. Hey, Farm Boy's right.
Can I say that I'm actually stoked about the second week of September starting the season, though, instead of an extra preseason game? Like, I'm kind of excited to actually see a Browns game in decent weather before it goes to shit in October,
I'm not going to comment on the weather because if you look back at the weather for the home games of the last 2 seasons, you'll know why I'm not saying a word because I'm not jinxing anything.
Dude, going down memory lane here. I just remember sitting like 3 rows off of the field with you at a Browns game that was against Jacksonville that was so goddamn cold that I bought a pop, and before we got to our seats, the thing was a slushie.
Yeah,
it was a horrible day to be down there.
I had that with beer. It was like we're drinking beer slushies. We ended up hammered because like you wanted a beer, but if you didn't get to it, you were basically chewing the thing.
Dude, it was horrible down there that day.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's dig into the topic tonight. So AJ, you came up with this one, and basically you were kind of like, posing the thought that Star Wars has had a lot of really weird stuff over the years. And some of it's a hit, some of it is a miss. So we are going to discuss things that we thought were weird. This is kind of how I looked at it. So if I looked at it wrong, then my list is all screwy. So I apologize. But stuff that was like weird.
If it's wrong, then we're changing the topic on the fly.
To go in and like start a new broadcast. Oh, new description. Yeah, no, but I kind of took a look at stuff that I thought, at the time when it came out was considered pretty like, what the hell? And so that was kind of my basis.
Yeah,
so
that's
I mean,
exactly right.
Okay. All right. So that's okay.
I mean, it's all weird. So, you're starting from a weird premise to begin with. So it's just when they piled on new weird parts, what do we think of those? Like, yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah, so if you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and smash that like button, So do all that cool YouTube stuff that people are supposed to do when you enjoy watching our content. Yay. I remembered, AJ. Thanks, Rural Farm Boy. Appreciate it.
You are not a YouTuber, are you, JT?
I watch YouTube all the time, but I don't know this stuff because I have my notifications turned off. Well, no, I turn off my notifications because I don't want my damn phone buzzing every 4 seconds.
Well, you don't have to worry about that with this.
What?
I mean, seriously.
That's true.
I mean, AJ, you'd think a guy that's been playing music live for like 20 years, 30 years, whatever the hell it's been, would know how to whore out his product, but he says he doesn't know how to do it for this.
I'm terrible with it.
Yeah, now he's being all bashful. Okay.
Yeah, right.
I'm terrible with that stuff. I don't know. Look at this. So Joseph Wren, why don't we just get it started and get it out of the way? I hate space whales. So it's an obvious one, so I'm not going to technically start my lists off with this. This won't be, but everybody who's listened to the show at least a couple times knows I hate space whales. It was weird. It sucked. It will forever suck. So a weird Star Wars thing that did not work at all.
What's wrong with whales that can travel through hyperspace?
Dude.
Yeah,
even the name is stupid. Dude, even the name is stupid. Purgle. It sounds like a B-rate soap. Like like a woman's soap or something. It's like,
isn't
the delicate touch.
Isn't that little canopy
Purgle.
thing isn't that the canopy thing you build off the back of your house with the
yeah.
No, isn't it that new like laminate tile you put down in your kitchen to make it look like wood, but it's really vinyl?
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah, I got Purgle.
Oh my God. Yeah. So anyways, let's just get that one out of the way. That's why I used that as our thumbnail on the Twitter and Facebook post today, because I think that was pretty obvious that was going to be one for me. So
be honest though, JT, you're only pissed at them because they tried to kill Ezra and failed. I mean, they got rid of Ezra at least. They're halfway there, but they just didn't finish the job.
Well, apparently he's alive somewhere. I'm sure we'll find that out eventually.
Right, exactly.
So, all right. So since we got that out of the way, all right, Steve, what do you got? Something weird that either worked or didn't work.
Oh God.
Did you not even think of anything?
Yaddle.
Okay, did Yaddle work or not work?
I'm pretty sure that did not work. Female Yoda, I think, didn't really resonate with anybody.
Seriously, like you go through the trouble of making the second of Yoda's species ever, and then she doesn't get a line. She got an action figure, I think, but it wasn't until like the Marvel Comics run in the last year that she was even brought up ever again. Like you'd think the second Yoda character ever would be like a big deal.
You think?
I didn't even know that she was.
It's like even George Lucas didn't give a shit. Yeah,
yeah. I never even really noticed it. I mean, I wasn't like scouring the Jedi Council for this stuff. That's why I used that as my background today. But like
speaking of which, she is right over your right shoulder.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, like I said, I nenever noticed. You notice who was right next to my head though? Our buddy Yariel Poof. See, look, it's Yariel Poof. There we go. Right behind my chair.
Oh, get pizzas.
You forgot the crackers. So, yeah, I didn't know that Yaddle was in there. I mean, it was when I finally saw that, I was like, wait, what the hell? There was another Yoda? How did they just gloss over that? So
yeah, and it was just kind of like shoehorned in. It was just like, hey, look, female Yoda, here you go. All right, move along.
Do you think it like with the? Well, I don't know. This might be a stupid. As I was about to pose the question, I realized it might be a stupid question. So, I mean, look how popular Grogu is. Do you think that Yaddle might have been popular if she had been more front and center, or like I said, probably a stupid question because Grogu's just the whole cute factor.
Yeah,
I think if Grogu was ugly like Yaddle, it wouldn't.
I think
work.
it still would have been real odd if she would have played any kind of like actual role in that movie. It would have still just been odd to have her there.
See, I don't know about that. Like Grogu's a big deal, not just because he's cute, but because he's a Yoda.
Yeah.
That might as well be the name of the species, because what the hell, it's easier to say than whatever.
And yeah, honestly, she doesn't look good either. Like not in the sense of like a female, but as a puppet. Like that's why everybody makes that joke online that it looks like the gremlin with the wig on and shit from that movie. Like, so like, it doesn't
if you compare that puppet to how Yoda looked in episode 1, though, because Yoda looked like crap in that movie.
Yeah.
The best thing they did with the Blu-ray edition was replace him entirely.
Yeah.
That was just rough. I don't know what the hell they were smoking on that one.
They're like, we want to keep it realistic looking. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a tough one because I mean, first of all, I think she would have been overshadowed by Yoda, and I think people would have been like, really, there's another Yoda? Like, I think that might have just been like yet another reason for people to dump on episode 1 at the time.
Probably.
So, all right, AJ, what do you got on your list?
Well, I had a question about her, though. Do you think the idea was that they were going to, like, make more of his species? So that was just like, yeah, they're commonplace around here. You just didn't see them in the original trilogy. But here, we're going to show you a bunch of them. And then the idea just, like, went away?
Maybe. I mean, they could have been, but you think they could have did better than that? Like, you could have shown, like, in an exterior shot in episode 1 that you could have had, like, a little family of Yodas walking around or something, like, off in the distance. And like, oh, cool, look, there's a family over there. But, just
I mean, they got ETs in the Senate.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they do. It's hard to argue that. No, I
would like to see a pod of Yodas in the Senate, and they could just like look up at like the Jedi Council overseeing everything, and be like, "Look at that pointy-eared fuck, show off." Yeah, come down here with that lightsaber. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, right.
Nice. Like maybe Yoda is like the exile of his species because he's just like this pompous prick. He's just like check out what I do. Yeah.
He's the only one with the Force until Grogu.
Right, exactly.
That's why Ahsoka was like so stunned in The Mandalorian because she's met other ones and they're all just like basically the you know, like what was that show with Honey Boo Boo on it? She's like them.
Oh God.
Yeah. Like that family, that's what Yoda species are.
Yoda's species are the trailer trash.
Exactly.
Star Wars galaxy.
Exactly. How would you do the speaking like Yoda but in like the southern white trash accent? Like drive a truck I do. like
Do or don't, just don't try.
Rural farm boy, stay on target. What are we talking about? Nice. All right, AJ. So something weird in Star Wars for you that either worked or did not work.
All right. Well, you got me stuck on characters now, so I got to go with one of my personal favorites, Zero the Hutt. I think it went just fine.
You do not. You didn't
say
think
that's
that
a home
worked.
run, isn't it?
No.
No, that was one of those ones where it came out in the movie. I'm like, what the hell is this shit?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Speaking of the trailer
I was confused
trash of the
things,
universe, I mean,
yeah.
Seriously. At first, I'm like, okay, so is it a he or a she? Because I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Is he or she purple or just painted? And they can speak English. So like, are the other Hutts just retards or just too proud to speak basic?
Yeah. I know when I saw, first of all, I was having a hard time getting through that movie to begin with. It did not grab me. And I was like, oh man, this is a rough watch. And then Zero the Hutt came on and I was like, alrighty. So basically now the rest of this movie is going to be like a Clockwork Orange for me where they're pinning me in a chair with my eyes pried open and forcing me to finish this. Okay. Gotcha.
Right. So what was worse, Zero or his mom?
Oh, Zero. I mean, they're both bad, but
that's pretty close.
So stereotypical swamp mama, not your thing, huh?
At that point, nothing surprised me. I was just like, okay, if you're gonna do Zero the Hutt, you know, why wouldn't you do that? I mean, that was not a surprise at all to me. I was just like, yeah. So, all right. So I'm going to give one that I think worked. And this is like, I have a couple on here that probably like surprise some people. But I'm going to go with the green screen stuff in the prequels. Because I really enjoyed it. I like how it completely makes the movies completely different looking from the original trilogy. It made sense to me because, you know, Ben Kenobi's line about, you know, it's a more elegant weapon for more civilized age and stuff. You know, we had always kind of guessed that, you know, the universe was nicer and neater and cleaner and all, you know, whatever, you know, before we get to episode 4. And I like the look of it. I mean, a lot of people say it looks like video game-ish and all that kind of stuff. But I loved it. I thought it was cool, and they were able to add a whole bunch. I mean, some of the digital characters look kind of wonky, but I mean, it was the first time it had ever been done.
Yeah.
So
it was also 1999 or whatever. So I mean,
yeah,
you couldn't expect green screen to be completely ironed out by then. You know,
look at the differences between the movies. You can see the jump in quality between the three. You know, Rural Farm Boy says he agrees with me. He agrees with the green screen thing.
But you're right though, because like it added depth, like it added like just your background there. Like you can't pull that off on a set. You know, like giving that depth of that city and everything. It's like it's hard to express that if you're going to do everything with set pieces. I mean, you're not going to build that.
That's why, I isolated my shot right now to show my background, because that's why I picked this tonight, is because of this exact reason. I knew that, some people might be like, oh, the green screen sucked, but I'm like, but look at this. I mean, this is what you had throughout all 3 movies. I mean, it looks beautiful. So, I mean, I really liked it. I mean, I know, AJ, you've had
for
problems
backgrounds,
with it here
it
and there,
works. For backgrounds, it works. What's weird though is the Battle of Naboo looked great, and that was 100% digital. Somehow that worked just fine. The battle droids looked amazing, and then Episode 2 comes along in the Droid Factory. It was like a huge step down. It felt like I don't know if it was just the lighting in the environment that was too difficult to pull off realistically or something, or maybe it was so fantastical that like our brains just wouldn't accept it. But I don't think the Droid Factory, most of Attack of the Clones, I think looks worse than Phantom Menace somehow.
I have to say I would disagree with that. I think it looks more lush to me. In terms of the Droid Factory, I've always wondered. I mean, I don't disagree with you there. MTS 1993 says Coruscant chase looked pretty good. I agree. I thought that was really cool. Anakin, doing like the free fall and that kind of thing.
See, mixing the live action and the CG was the hard part. When you got like all digital shots with no live actors in it, it looked better.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The Droid Factory was thrown in near the end, like they needed another action piece, they decided. So I really wonder if it was a little rushed. So maybe they didn't, I mean, Joseph Friend says, if they made the prequels today on sets, would they be better received by fans? If so, then the story is the real issue, not the green screen. Right or wrong, they made a movie with new tech in 1999. Yeah. That's a tough one. Because people do crap on the story. They're like, oh, Trade Federation, this, that, and the other. But they also crap on the green screen. But I think a lot of, like, the dialogue, I think, was what was the crap part of it. So
yeah, the story and the events that they were trying to tell were compelling, but it was the movie craft of how they went about it. Like the effects were a little distracting because they were digital. The acting was and they weren't really given much to work with. So like if you just want to like give me the Cliff Notes outline of what happened in those movies, I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. And then when you see like how they did it, I'm like, not so cool.
Yeah. I mean the original trilogy was much more sparse in terms of the stuff in the shots and everything, just because they had less special effects at their disposal at the time, especially, in A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
And those movies are iconic, I think, because, the dialogue was good and the story was awesome. So I do
feel like they had to lean on that stuff a little bit more because of the limitations of the effects.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to phrase it, man. I don't know how you feel about that, Steve, but I think AJ is completely dead on, because
sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they relied more on the effects in the prequels. But see, I love the story of the prequels, though. I've said this many times. I'm a huge fan of the fact that they didn't just go, well, there's some bad guys, and then they got more bad. Like, I hate when they do that. It's like, no, it's interesting. Like, it started out as like a political battle. It was like, people, I hate the politics. I'm like, well, but what else are they going to do? The bad guys got to do something bad, and that was, a way to do it. So that was cool. So I
would be really interested in revisiting the prequels in live action. Like we've seen what the Mandalorian can do, and what Rogue One did for like, and Solo to an extent did for OT stuff in like modern movie making. Let's see what the volume can do for like Clone Wars era storytelling. If there's some way to do like a flashback in the Obi-Wan series where we get to see more of the Clone Wars in live action, because just the little bit of like the battle droids that we saw, the super battle droids in Mandalorian, I was like, holy shit, that's awesome.
Yep. See, Joseph Wren, he's right. Unlimited power. Like, yeah, that was cool. When he officially turns into the Emperor, that was good looking stuff, man. All right, so Steve, what is your next one?
Oh, geez, I'm trying to rack my brain here on the fly. Use your background again. Midichlorians.
Oh, all right. Are you saying they work or don't work?
they should have worked and they didn't.
Okay. Wow, that's a good one. I did not think of that. That's a good one.
Because it's almost like they abandoned it. Like it made sense to go like, okay, the force comes from somewhere instead of just being a thing. They're like, it comes from somewhere, so they kind of give you this thing, and then they just kind of abandoned it after episode 1. It was just like, yeah, it's just there now. It's whatever. So it's like it was like a wasted idea that should have been something that they could have furthered, upon somehow, at least through the prequels. I mean, did they even mention that word again outside of episode 1?
Well, the rumor
they use M count in The Mandalorian, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So like that's like the only time they've mentioned it since episode 1.
Yeah. What's weird is that the rumor is that if Lucas was going to do a third trilogy, he had apparently said that it was going to be based around like the microscopic stuff, like midichlorian type things. Like, and I was just, I don't know. That sounded like love George Lucas, but that sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah, like that's a rough one to just make 3 movies about, but like to throw it into the prequels and at least give that a little bit of substance that you could have carried into the original trilogy and thought to yourself like, oh yeah, this is why blank, like this is why this is how this is, and you could have carried it through all 9 movies, but instead they like threw it out there and then just abandoned the thing as quick as they gave it to us. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And I've heard interviews with Filoni saying that like that was one of the things they've kind of like retconned that a little bit to say like, well, that's proof that the Jedi had lost their way. They were busy getting down in the weeds of like how many midichlorians someone has instead of doing the job of a Jedi, which is being like a defender of the peace and all this other stuff. They were too codified at that point. And like Qui-Gon being the rebel that he was more like a true Jedi than the other members of the council were.
Yeah.
Which, I think that's just a handy way to say that, like, hey, we know we screwed up, but we're going to try to walk it back a little bit. We're going to fold it in.
At least they're good at that. At least they're good at that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's, got to stay on topic, but stay on target. But, I
don't know. I can segue off of that.
No segues. We are staying on topic. Damn it.
I know, but I'm going to. Fine. I'm raising my hand. I'm going next. I'm jumping the line.
I was going to ask you next.
Palpatine clone.
Oh, you took mine. That was going to be my next one. Oh.
So, they're trying now with a whole ton of crap to like tie Rise of Skywalker in. Like, I guess in the latest issue that just dropped of the Marvel Star Wars series, Vader actually meets a Snoke clone on Exegol. So they're working the whole cloning thing in as being a thing that's existed since the original trilogy. Like, he's been working on it for that long, and he was already building and had the fleet built for the Final Order back in the original trilogy as a contingency plan. And like, just stop. No, it doesn't work. And the more you try to drag down the existing stories with connective tissue, just no.
Yeah.
Stop. I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had that on my list as something that did not work. I don't mind it. I mean, if they're going to bring Palpatine back, there's really no other good way to do it except to say that he survived that massive explosion. Which is kind of, unbelievable, because then, okay, if he's going to survive that, who's going to kill him with anything?
Wouldn't that, like, I mean, I'm just flying off of my bullshit here. Wouldn't it have been like more logical to just have Snoke come back and say that was a clone of him that got killed in episode 8 or something like that?
See, that would have made.
I said, would that have made
so
like
simple.
a little more sense?
That's amazing.
You just figured out how to do that movie the right way. And I like the movie, but holy crap,
like, especially since you kind of like through episode 7, he kind of came off as like, oh shit, like this guy might be more powerful than how the Emperor was. Like when he was that giant, hologram and stuff, he kind of came off as like, oh God, like this guy might be the pinnacle of the dark side here, and then you find out he's just like an old dude in a robe, and then you kill him, and then that's it.
Man, that is
so
really
simple.
good.
Way less convoluted than this whole like the emperor had a thing going the whole time. We just didn't know about it. Like, no.
Yeah. The Empire. Oh man. And I think, I think a lot of people, I hate to say most, but I kind of think so. Most people have a problem with the whole Palpatine clone thing and the clunky dialogue. Somehow Palpatine returned. That's all you got. Like,
dark magic secrets only the Sith knew. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that detailed explanation, guys.
Yeah. But
because didn't we have this conversation after Celebration when Ian McDermott was there, and we were all like, "Oh my god, how on earth is he part of this now? It makes no damn sense." And we were just like, it's got to be flashbacks, it's got to be something like that, and no idea that any of us came up with in 6 months before that movie came out was, oh gee, maybe it's a clone of himself that he made 40 years ago.
Maybe we thought it, but we didn't want to like voice it lest it come to fruition.
We threw that over in the garbage pile with the old Reddit thread of Ahsoka.
Yeah, Ahsoka. That's right. Oh my god. Yeah, no, but I mean, I don't think people would have had a problem if you say, okay, that was like Snoke was a clone, especially especially people that are like fans of the old EU, because in Plagueis, he was doing all that cloning in Plagueis, so that they could have tied it back to that, and it could have been one of those ideas they brought back from the EU and put it into current canon. So I don't think people would have had a problem with that at all.
It's to think of like the number of hoops they had to jump through to come up with this. Like, okay, they start with Palpatine as a clone. Well, now you've got to go, all right, so let's invent a planet that no one's ever heard of. Let's invent abilities no one's ever heard of. Let's say that he's got an army that no one knew he was building. And somehow the good guys have to know about it, but only at the right time.
Yeah.
Sounds like we checked off all the boxes.
That is a lot.
Well, I mean, that's just proof of them not having like the full story written out ahead of time and then chopping it into 3 pieces. That's just proof when you say it like that, you're like, oh yeah, that's kind of, also, Colin Trevorrow had a much different, take on what he was going to put into his movie. So,
like if there was no mention of Thanos or Infinity Stones before Infinity War, who would have bought into that movie whatsoever?
Yeah, right.
Here's a brand new villain you've never heard of, and it's the worst thing you've ever seen.
They set up all the Infinity Stones and then just do nothing with them. They go through 23 movies and the Infinity Stones have nothing to do with it. Like, we're just going to bring back the Red Skull. Oh, come on! Like, that's what it would be like,
Yeah.
So, all right. So I'm going to go with another one that I think worked. Which one do I want to do? I've got 3 more. I am going to go. You know what? I'm going to defend something that I've defended a lot, and I don't care. Old Man Luke in The Last Jedi. I loved it.
You can't. I mean, even though I'm doing this all on the fly, I was already banking that one to be my next one too.
Well, okay. Well, you know what? Then I'll let you take that one, and I'll go to another one of mine. And this one's really going to be
because I was going to say, because I picked 2 that I thought, well, one that didn't work, one that was in the middle, and I was going to actually say that Old Man Luke worked for me. I don't understand the hatred for that character at all.
Well, let's talk about that, and then I'll do another one. So me and you will kind of combine this one. I think it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
Everyone was all pissy about it, and they said it was just like way out of character for him, and I'm like, it's 30 years later. I mean, with all the stuff that happened to the guy and all the knowledge that he's acquired, if you really think about what we know of the Jedi from what we've seen, his conclusions are not wrong.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
dude, he's old. He exiled himself. He's angry for the Jedi school and all that falling and everything and blaming himself for it. The guy can't be episode 5 Luke for eternity. You know, people change, especially when they get old and stuff. Like, I mean, it happens. So the whole argument from people of, oh, that's just not how Luke would act. Like, who the hell says?
Yeah.
The guy lived on an island, damn near, with the exception of the caretakers, by himself for 30, 40 years, and he's pissed off that the whole Jedi Order fell while he was in charge. Of course he's pissed. What the hell do you want from the guy?
Yep.
And plus, people want to skewer Rian Johnson for that, but this was all set up in Force Awakens by JJ. So all he did was take that ball and run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, people always say, oh, well, Luke Skywalker wouldn't quit like that. He wouldn't quit. Well, he didn't quit. He came to the conclusion that the Jedi were self-defeating and were basically doing more harm than good, and said, well, then I'm putting a stop to it.
And I'm sorry, after he died in episode 9, when he kind of came back to, I guess, the light side, air quotes, you know, helping
air quotes,
you know, pulling the X-wing out of the water and stuff, like that doesn't have as much power in episode 9 if he isn't an asshole in 8. You know, like, then it's just Luke continuing to be Luke, and it's nothing special. But it felt like something special when he went and told Rey to get off her shit and hey, don't turn into me, like, do this kind of thing. Like, it wouldn't have held that much power if he never was old and decrepit and angry in episode 8.
Yep. Rural Farm Boy is on your side with this one, so he agrees with us. Yeah, I think you just made a really, really good point that, you know, the quote unquote hero turn in episode 9 doesn't really resonate as much. But I think also, you know, the end of 8, which is another thing that I loved, you know, the whole force projection thing, and, you know, he basically does the most Jedi move ever. And if he's just walking around as superhero Luke and then he goes and does it, we're like, well, yeah, he's superhero Luke. But because you've seen him throughout the movie being just a complete and total curmudgeon and wanting to, you know, eradicate the Jedi rather than continue the lineage, I mean, it's, you know, it makes that move even more selfless, because he's like, okay, well, I'm going to get back into it, you know, but I'm going to do it in such a way that, you know, it's not, you know, I mean, like, you know, we've talked about this before. AJ, you like to mention this, you know, the whole, what am I going to run out there and take on the whole First Order with a light, you know, with a lightsaber, laser sword. Sorry.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, he even says it right there. So, I mean, the whole thing was just handled so cool, and it was something different. It, you know, we. Everybody just wants to see superhero Luke. Like, we've already seen that. And, you know, we'll probably get that in The Mandalorian. I mean, people didn't know that at the time. But, you know, it's like, it was really cool because it was something interesting. It was something unique. It was a cool spin on something, as opposed to just regurgitating what we had already seen. So, yeah, I completely agree with you, Steve. So we'll chalk that one up for you. All right, I got 2 left of positivity. So, what do I want to do? I'll let you guys pick. Do I go original trilogy or do I go prequel trilogy?
I would go original trilogy, because we saw those as kids and we just accepted everything they fed us instead of looking at it critically and being like, that was really strange.
Yes. Okay, well, this may seem a little bit obvious, but at the time, people are like, what the hell? And I think they've held up over the years, despite what Twitter may say here and there. Ewoks. They're fuzzy little teddy bears.
I'll drink to that. Yep. And
they were cool. I mean, as a little kid, I was like, okay. Like, I just took it in stride that, you know, they could kick ass. And as I grew older, I didn't look at it any differently. I was like, okay. You know, I mean, is it weird seeing them, like, beating the crap out of stormtroopers with rocks and, you know, rocks?
You didn't think about that,
like,
especially me as a guy born in 1983. I thought the Ewoks were cool. Like, I didn't even question the fact that they were going against the Empire army. I was just like, they're smashing things with sticks. Like, this is funny.
And I've never gotten on board with.
They're still a threat too. I mean, they caught the rebels right away, and they were going to eat them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they're not just fuzzy little buddies. They're freaking savages.
It's like the meme online that they were like, they gave that dress to Princess Leia, which means at some point there was another female there that wore that size dress, which they were probably picking out of their teeth when Leia got there.
That wasn't a dress. That was actually a seassoning bag.
Yeah, right.
It's like
it's one of those McCormick things. Yeah, take it up.
I was just gonna say McCormick. They were just marinating her. She's like, they gave me this wet piece of clothing, and all, and the Ewoks.
Why do you smell like rosemary?
Yeah.
She's sitting there talking, and they're just like shaking salt over her head. She turns around, they stop real quick and look.
Yeah. Look at this, our cousin. The Ewoks were cool and still are. And then he says, they were so cool, they made 2 fantastic movies based off of them. Shut up.
I'll drink to that, too.
Those movies suck. Yeah, but I never bought into the whole thing, too, where people complain, like, oh, yeah, sure, like, little teddy bears would defeat the Empire. Like, well, they didn't defeat the whole Empire. It was like one unit. It wasn't, they didn't go all of a sudden jump into X-Wings and, Mon Cala, like Star Cruisers and start flying around the Death Star. Like, they didn't do that. So, what's up, Mark Thrasher? What's up?
Well, they were going
they
through
did their job.
They were doing the trench run on the Death Star, and they're like red 1, red 5, and then it get to like red 9, and it's like 2 Ewoks fighting over the control stick. And
that's what I want to see. I want to see like 2 Ewoks in like a rebel pilot suit, like what's it?
Like
Vincent Adult Man and BoJack Horseman, where it's 3 kids in a trench coat.
Like one's the legs and one's the top half. Our buddy Thrasher's checking in. What's up, Mark? How's it going, man? Good to see you. Mark,
why is this pilot 6 feet tall with a 4-inch inseam? I don't get it.
Yeah, right. So for anybody who hasn't seen a couple episodes ago, Mark actually was on with us, and we had an awesome debate about The Force Awakens. So make sure you go check that out. That was a fun one. So, all right. So I took the Ewoks. All right. So Steve had his. AJ, you're up next. So a weird thing that was good or bad. What do you got?
All right. Well, it's too obvious to say Yoda. We can just agree that like that was a big risk and it worked out. So I will go with most of Rogue One, like all the new stuff that they introduced there. The whole idea that there was this architect involved and the shore troopers. Like there's so much stuff in that movie that could have flopped. I mean, come on, Krennic was amazing. Krennic was friggin' amazing, and he could have been a total flop. So to even make that movie that was weird, it was like a story that no one really expected to be told.
Krennic is a perfect asshole because he was the douche in Ready Player One too. Like he plays that character so well, dude. Like
that's why I'm guaranteed that the Skrulls are going evil in MCU because you can't cast him as a Skrull and have him be like a good guy. I just don't buy it.
It doesn't fit. Yeah.
Well, rural farm boy's now with you, AJ. So he's gotten one with each of us.
Nice.
Well, okay. I got to play devil's advocate here. Do you think any of that stuff was really considered weird though? Does it qualify as weird or just more new and unexpected? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not questioning your judgment. I'm just like I'm wondering because I know when all that stuff came out, I was thinking I wasn't like I say. I mean,
well, I'll say like Chirrut and Baze, for example, the whole Guardians of the Wills. That's something that it messed with the Force, and people can get very touchy about that stuff. So that could have gone off very badly. Even you're like a friggin' blind guy with a stick, really?
Yeah,
so,
that was weird.
Why did my camera disappear? There it goes.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry.
You don't say
I
that.
I just got a notification. It's like your browser lost control or contact with your camera. I'm like, it's connected to the computer. How did you lose contact to it? Piece of shit.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think, Steve? Was there anything really weird to you, or
I don't know if weird is the right word. Like it is and it isn't, because it's like you look at it and you go, that's weird, but you're not thinking, oh, that's weird because like when you said unexpected and new. Like that is kind of weird in the same
okay.
sense, so like it's a different definition of weird, but yeah, definitely doing a lot of that stuff was weird, and like
Okay.
and it did work. Like hell, seeing the shore troopers was kind of weird, because they never existed before. That sure as hell worked. So
yeah, like I said, I'm not disagreeing. Rural Farm Boy, he says that he thinks it is more weird than new. So in his opinion, yeah, I'm not disagreeing. And I mean, to your logic, I mean, the whole concept of the movie itself, like just having a Star Wars movie that wasn't part of the saga was weird. I mean, that was the first thing we got. I mean, this is not, the original trilogy. This is not the sequel trilogy. It's not the prequel. This is just a whole standalone thing we need you to give a crap about. So, yeah, okay, I could see that. Okay. I never looked at it that way. That's interesting. Okay.
I'm racking the whole time we were talking, I'm like, dude, we've completely avoided the whole sequel trilogy, and I'm really trying to think of something.
There's a lot of weird in there. That's part of the problem.
Yeah, and I'm trying to just pinpoint something to have a conversation about, and I really am kind of coming up blank on it.
Well, there's an obvious one.
Okay,
and it would be.
We'll go with that then.
I mean, I think we can all agree.
It was already in the comments earlier.
Yeah,
what,
Craig brought
Carrie
it up
Poppins?
earlier. Carrie Poppins, it is.
Okay.
Did not work.
No,
right,
not at all.
Did not.
Honestly,
work.
I thought about that in like the first 2 minutes of the show, and I was like, nah, we've already went at that scene too much. I'm like, I'm not even going to bring that up.
No, you can definitely do it again. It's that was my Cleveland and Family Guy moment in the theater when they showed her hand. No.
Dude, I specifically remember sitting in the theater, and when they were showing her out in space, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, there's no way they're gonna have this bitch move right now, are they? and then like sure as shit, and I'm just like, here we go.
Yep. I
was like, there's no way. I'm like, there's no way they're gonna have her move. She's moving. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, do you think it was the whole idea that she could survive out there for a second due to her force powers, or was it like the portrayal of it? Like if it didn't look so damn weird with her literally like flying Mary Poppins style, do you think it would have gone over better?
No, I don't like the concept of it. Like,
yeah, the concept was stupid, but yes, AJ, absolutely. The fact that she flew through space and it might have took like 30 seconds, but it felt like, I don't know, 60 minutes of the movie watching her glide back to the dance. I feel like that was the longest damn scene in movie history. That was so bad.
I just still picture her like frozen out there, and you're seeing her floating, and it's like, oh, she's gonna use the force to come back, and all of a sudden a spaceship just comes by and just like smashes her, like like when you put something in dry ice and you drop it, it shatters. Like Leia's out there, and all of a sudden like an X-wing just goes boom and just shatters her into pieces. Like, oh, I guess that ain't happening.
I was gonna say Ben just comes screaming by in the TIE fighter, just plows into her.
Runs
just
down
makes
his own
that
frozen
makes
mother.
that same donk noise that Thor made when he slammed on the windshield of the Guardians, whatever the hell the name of that ship is in Avengers.
Right. The music is doing that cute little pling 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 pling, and she goes pling pling, and then just stops when she gets hit. You get silence. It just shows like space and Leia chunks floating, and you're like, wow, damn, this took a turn.
Ben just slams into her, and then you see a barrel roll off in the distance, so she swings off of the windshield. and just goes cartwheeling through space. Finn and Poe and them are just looking out the window, and they're just like,
where'd she go? And then like a chunk of her face bounces off the glass right in front of them. They're like, ah! Looks like
get
the
it
end
off,
of hell.
Get it off.
Yeah, right. Looks like the end of Hellraiser.
God. Jesus Christ, people. Okay. Who's
Oh,
got
there's
one now?
more.
What's next?
Well, I have a couple more if you want me to keep listing them.
Go for it. I'm really still trying to find something else on the sequel trilogy.
The World Between Worlds. Did not like it. I don't like the concept of time travel. It invites ungodly lazy storytelling.
Yeah.
And
I
am
totally agree with that.
Not a fan of that. As I've said before, it also looked like they didn't even finish drawing the thing. It looked like that kids show. What was that kids show we were growing up? Was it Romper Room where they had the chalk?
God, yes, yes.
I don't know how I'm remembering this, but it's like 40 years old. But they had it was Romper Room, I think, and they had the little, it was the chalk cartoon, and it was just like chalk outlines. It's like, what is this? That's what it looked like. The World Between Worlds. It was, we're up against a deadline. I got the outline. Well, it's fine. Just do it in negative. Instead of white and black, do black and white, and just stick the characters in there. It's good enough. It's time travel.
It's gonna be like in South Park when they had the guys from the other dimension. They looked identical. They just had the mustaches.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish they had never done that, man, because like you said, it's just lazy. As soon as you put that on the table, then everything becomes less important because you're like, well, they could just go and do it.
Yeah.
Because
travel through time, man.
Yeah,
just
we had that
through
conversation
time.
As much as we've all expressed how much we love the MCU and stuff. This whole thing with the time travel and the multiverse and all that, it already raises all these questions of okay, just go back and fix this then, and go back and do that, and go back and get Steve Rogers, and go back and get Iron Man, and go back. And if they don't, you're like, okay, well, what's the purpose of the time travel then? So, you said, it's the same thing in Star Wars, where it's just like, oh, okay, you don't like this? Well, we'll just time travel back 20 minutes and we'll stop it now.
Time
and if you don't, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Time travel is a huge storytelling problem. Well, Steve, you know Harry Potter enough to understand the reference. Yep. They give Hermione the time turner in, was it Prisoner of Azkaban, I think?
Yep.
So in one book, they give a student a time machine so she can go back and take extra classes.
Yeah.
But the whole time Voldemort is taking over the friggin' world, they're nowhere to be found. So we give it to a student for extra credit, but when a wizard is murdering everybody, let's just let that go. I mean,
exactly. Teach, can't we use this to go back to the no. Go back, make your potions, and then we'll just end there. Don't go and start trying to fix the world or anything over there.
Right. Yeah, I unless it's something like Back to the Future where that's the whole crux of the story, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, it's like you said, it opens the world of lazy script writing, and it makes it way too easy for them to be lazy about it going forward.
Thankfully, they haven't gone back to it, so that is a good thing.
Right.
And World Between Worlds is even worse because it's time and space. They can jump out at any location and at any time. So Christ.
Yep.
Yeah, because even people like us as fans, we could sit back and at any point during the Mandalorian or something, they could just be like, oh well, if Ahsoka was here, in our heads we're just gonna be like, oh, just go in the World Between Worlds, go get her.
Just going back in time.
Yeah, it's just gonna be the answer to everything now because it's there. You shouldn't have given it to us if you didn't want us to use it as lazy excuses now.
Right.
All right, so I have two more, one good, one bad. We'll do the bad one first. It's getting late in the show, so I have one that I think did not work, and this is probably just for me. The Force dyad in The Last Jedi. I did not like the whole we can touch hands or whatever, through the Force. I thought that was dumb. I couldn't figure it out. I don't think it was necessary. I'm not a fan.
I'm going to put that up there. You
specified Rise of Skywalker. What about Episode 8 when it started?
Well, I'm sorry. I meant The Last Jedi. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put that up there with midichlorians. It could have worked, and they just like you had mentioned earlier. I don't know if it's because of how the storytelling had to go because they didn't have enough time to obviously spell everything out for between 8 and 9. It could have worked, and what the product they gave us, it didn't. Like it absolutely could have and should have worked, but it just fell flat when it was all said and done.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when they're doing the whole, they're touching hands. I was like, what the heck is that? Like, okay, like I'm all for new force powers and things, and it's interesting to throw those sorts of things into the storytelling. But with that one, I was like, no, that's not really doing anything for me. I mean, a lot of people like it, but I'm just not one.
Because like I was okay with it because I was like, oh shit, like it's showing, like you said, new force powers, and it's showing actually how strong the two of them are, that they can actually do something like that. But then come towards the end of 8 and the whole movie in episode 9, it was just kind of like meh. It's like they built you up and then put the damn thing in cruise control and gave you no payoff to the entire thing, and it was just at the end the story they gave us sucked. That's all.
Well, I think that's one of those, again, a casualty of not having one story chopped into 3 pieces, because I'm sure part of the thing was, well, what are we going to do with this? And then, J.J. Abrams, episode 9 was just like, let's move away from that.
and we came up with the answer before that. It was just like, at the time, everybody was splitting things. Avengers was split into 2 movies, and the Hunger Games was split into 2. And it was like, all you had to do was split the last damn chapter into 2 things and tell the story a little further. But it was like, oh no, then it's going to be 10 movies for episode 9, and we can't have that, and and then you get a shit product. And it's like
Steve's ranting.
Like it would have worked. Like, or give us a 6-hour long movie. Like, pick one.
I'll take that.
Yeah, whatever. I don't think too many people would have complained about it. Maybe going to see it at midnight in the theaters would have been a bitch, but it was all said and done.
I got to take the opposite side on this, though, man.
Complained.
I
got to take the opposite side on this. I think the Force dyad was, I don't know if it was like a cool idea, but it made sense to me. Like, you start with Luke and Vader speaking telepathically in Empire. Oh, actually, you go back to Obi-Wan in A New Hope, speaking to Luke through the Force after he died. So Force Ghost Obi-Wan is busy talking to Luke. So you already got like a telepathic thing going on.
Okay.
And then you get living people talking back and forth. You got Luke and Vader doing it in Empire Strikes Back. Then in Jedi, Vader pulls information out of Luke's mind. Sister. So you have a twin sister. So that part happens. Episode 7, Kylo Ren is able to interrogate Rey and get information like, I see the island. So you get that. Then like 8 becomes like a logical extension of that. The power has been growing since the very first movie. So for 8, for it to become like a physical manifestation is just like the next level. It's not really like they invented something.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they just built it further in episode 9. Like episode 8, they were like, hey, I wonder if we can touch. And then Luke sees them, so clearly they could. And then that was the last chance they had to do anything like that. And then episode 9, they started doing it again. And they just did it more because they were both stronger in the Force.
Yeah, like when I said it sucked, I think ultimately it was just the payoff of the dyad of the 2 of them was just it. Like I said, like you said, it built up from 7, it built further in 8, and then, like I said, in 9, it felt like they put it in cruise control because the payoff just wasn't there for what they built up.
I think it was just a clumsy explanation, right? Like same thing. Same with the Force healing. Like she heals that snake underground with the Force, and she's like, "Oh, I just gave him a bit of my life force." Like no one asked. We didn't need that explanation. When like Obi-Wan dies and starts talking to Luke as a ghost, we're just like, "All right, he can do that." It wasn't like, if you strike me down, I shall be able to talk to Luke Skywalker through the Force. Like,
that's one thing we could do. Like, just do exposition on all the moments that they could have and didn't. Just do that.
Like, no one needed that explanation. That's just the filmmakers going, you know what? The audience is dumb, so we better tell them what's going on here.
Yeah. But you're right, AJ. You didn't have to explain that. Like, if she would have just did it in your mind watching the movie, you would have just been like, oh, okay, that's something you can do with the Force when you get powerful enough with it. Like, okay.
Oh, crap. Joseph Wren, you might have just broken the show because that actually kind of makes sense. Like, what if the two things are tied together?
Right,
What if
so
a Force
Joseph
dyad can use the world between worlds to move stuff between locations?
Well, he says,
That makes sense.
Yeah, he says, is the Force dyad really a stretch considering world between worlds was already established? If they can go anywhere, why can't they move items from one place to another?
Yeah, throw it in. Basically like jumping through one portal with it and tossing it out the other.
Well, I'm going to answer the question very directly and say, well, since I don't like the world between worlds, well, that's why I don't think the Force dyad is, it may not be a stretch because it's one sucky thing tying into another sucky thing. So
it's consistent, yeah.
So there you go. I don't.
The one thing I do like about the Force dyad,
this furthers the conversation about what we said earlier about the world between worlds. Now we can use that as an excuse for every damn thing that happens in Star Wars now.
Yeah.
The one good thing about the Force dyad, though, was at least by saying that that's like super rare and like no one's seen that in forever, it explains why all the Jedi aren't doing that. Because it's not like if you just learn it hard enough, you can do it. Like, no, there's got to be more to the connection than just knowing the technique.
Yeah, it's got to be more than just Jedi strength doing it. You have to have something else.
And isn't it just supposedly between like two people, like, and it's like a totally rare thing to happen? So it's not like it's not even like a skill, right? It's just something that,
right?
Like, okay. I mean, that part of it's cool that it wasn't like, all right, we'll just keep practicing and you'll get it. Like, I like that they didn't do that.
Yeah, like you said, then it wouldn't make sense as like, well, okay, well, why couldn't Obi-Wan or Luke do that thing? It was like, well, no, because it's kind of rare and specific, and you gotta maybe they just didn't have that ability or anybody else to connect to. Who the hell knows? But,
yeah, that's true. All right, well, let's do one quick one here at the end. Let's end on a positive, which may not be a positive to some people, but so I had for my last positive, I actually have Jar Binks. And I think it worked because for fans like us, of our age group, I think a lot of people in our age group were turned off, like, the more old school fans were totally turned off by the character. But Star Wars has always been a thing that's kind of geared towards children. And Jar Binks got a whole generation of new fans into it by, with all that slapstick, goofy, whatever. Yeah. Kids loved him, and it bred a new generation of Star Wars fans. And it was, the first fully realized digital character. So, that's why I said it was weird. They tried to do it with, they were just going to recreate his head, and then they just found it would be easier to do the whole character in digital. And I thought it worked. I've always thought that it would be very interesting to see if they hadn't made such a big deal about all the CG, at the time, if they hadn't said a word about the fact that they're using all these computers, like how obvious it would have been, and would people have been like, oh, is that an actual person in a suit, or what's that, or what's this? Like you wonder, because I mean, when it's pointed out to you, it's we like to say on the show, low hanging fruit, to say, oh, see, that's CG, it sucks. But could you really tell? Because if you really look, especially like when you're talking about like in the theater or on a DVD copy where the visual quality isn't up to like Blu-ray or 4K, he really blends in well with the actual human characters. Yeah. So, like I said, I know it's not a popular opinion, I would say, but I think it worked, especially considering it set the stage for, again, he was the first one, so it set the stage for all the future digital characters to come, of which there have been a lot of really cool ones.
Yeah. I can't like I said,
we connected a lineage all the way back between K2SO and Jar Jar. It's the same thing. It started as an actor on set, and then they just did a digital replacement.
Yep. I mean, look, they were able to do Yoda. Like we just talked about the change to Yoda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's a big part of why that character worked as well as it did, is because it started with an actual performer on stage instead of purely animated. So he moved like a real person because it was the performance of a real person. It's like you guys have seen the last season of the final season of Clone Wars when they actually got Ray Park to do mocap for Darth Maul.
Yeah.
And instantly, like the way he moves is so much better. Like you can instantly tell that that's a dude doing lightsaber moves instead of like an animator doing cool stuff in a computer.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
And like that realism just sells the performance so much more.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, I know that Jar Jar is like a really weird character, and it's like it's a little hammy, and I understand that. But I mean, I know I'm probably really alone in this, but when I first saw that movie in the theater, like, you know, I guess everything comes full circle. Like, Star Wars has always had those kind of weird, wonky things. So it wasn't really out of place for me. I was like, okay, that's a little bit kiddie-ish, but I wasn't like, what the hell is this? Like, because I just, it's Star Wars. Like, there's going to be weird things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, even in the Rise of Skywalker, no one's complaining about Claude. I mean, he was only in the movie for like 15 seconds or whatever, but it's like this big honking yellow slug that looks like it's straight off the set of the Muppet Show,
Right.
just sitting in the middle of the damn Millennium Falcon. Like, what the hell is that? And nobody's
And he's an
complaining
engineer
about
with
that.
no arms.
Yeah, like what is that? Like, and no one's complaining. Well, because it's Star Wars. There's weird crap in Star Wars. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, how many people in 1977 looked at Pigface guy in the bar and was just like, "Oh, what the hell?" Like,
Yeah.
it's like you were signing up for this by going into the theater to see the space opera movie. You know,
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like I said, I guess that brings everything full circle. So that was cool. You guys brought up some stuff that I had never even thought of. Steve basically properly rewrote episode 9. So that's the highlight of this episode.
nice.
We've been trying.
Trademark it. Trademark.
Yeah, you better do that real fast, man. Well, thanks guys for checking out another episode. It's good to see Joseph Wren again, Rural Farm Boy. Great to hang out. Our buddy Mark Thrasher tuned in. As I said, go check out a couple episodes ago. Mark Thrasher was on, and we debated Force Awakens, so that's a good listen if you want to check that out on video or on all the audio platforms. Again, we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for a free audiobook trial and a free audiobook download, I should say. I'm stumbling over this thing, and I've only said it about 8,428 times. But anyways, go to shop.nerfherdercouncil.com for customizable Nerfherder Council swag. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button. Make sure you get all the notifications as to when we're going live, which is every other Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless we tell you differently on our Twitter or Facebook pages. Twitter is at NHC Podcast. And if you would like to check out...
Are you insinuating that maybe we're going to do a different show at some point?
I think we are.
Oh,
I
really?
think, I think, what's that, the last Friday of this month. I think we got a couple weeks to go, and we're going to start promoting this pretty heavily, but it'll be Friday, May 28th. We are going to be doing a special live broadcast. We are going to be playing Cards Against Star Wars.
Are we really doing it this time?
We
There's
are
no
really
NFL
doing
draft
it.
getting in the way?
I
No,
do not believe
no.
there is another NFL draft that day. No, I think we're
No.
safe.
No, that one. No, I'm going to double check. Let's see my calendar here. No draft. No draft.
Google. I'm gonna Google it. Is the NFL draft on?
Yeah. So Friday, May 28th, we actually will be broadcasting a regular show 2 days before on the 26th. But jump in with us on May 28th, and we'll actually be having some beverages that show to start off the long Memorial Day weekend, and we're going to be playing some Cards Against Star Wars. So if any of you happen to have a copy of that game and you actually want to take part, just shoot us a tweet, hit us up on Facebook. You can email us, nerfherdercouncil@gmail.com, and more than happy to have more players. That'd be great.
We'll figure something out. Honest to God, we're gonna figure this out on the fly that night,
Yeah.
anyways. So I mean, whatever. It's gonna be a shit show. We're just gonna have alcohol and enjoy ourselves. It's whatever.
We may not be able to read everything out loud because I really can't afford to be banned again from live streaming because it'll screw up both my podcasts, and I think it's longer than 30 days next time. So
Yeah, we might have to leave it off of Facebook.
that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
It might
at all.
have to be a YouTube only thing.
Yep. We'll set up a Twitch thing just for one night. And
Yeah.
just
Well,
have
we've had the Twitch page for like 2 years now. We just haven't posted anything on it.
because I don't know how to use it. So,
Yeah, exactly.
But,
Same here.
Yep. So, anyways, yeah, if you guys want to check
Steve,
out
you just
other
volunteered.
episodes-
Congratulations.
Yeah, way to go.
I don't either. I just signed up the account so we could have the name.
Too bad. So anyway, so yeah, on Wednesday, May 26th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be back here with our next regular episode. And 2 days following, on May 28th, we'll be here live doing Cards Against Star Wars. So please check that out. And if you would like to go back and listen to any of our old episodes, just basically Google Nerfherder Council. We are on pretty much all of the major audio platforms where you can find podcasts. So until next time, I am your host, JT at Dog Pound Jedi. He is AJ.
At Drake Adams 579.
He is Steve.
At Nerfherder Steve.